Yo sé, el título de este video is bien fuerte, but it has to be done. But if you haven't watched one of my previous videos and live streams about me quitting Spanish and all that, make sure that you watch those two videos to get a little bit more background on why I am making this tough decision. Now, on to me quitting Spanish. Not only am I quitting Spanish, but I'm also quitting French. So I won't talk too much about French. But with French right now in my language learning journey, it's just not really necessary that I put all this extra load onto my plate, or extra food onto my plate rather. It's just too much for me to do at the moment. And the reason why I didn't make this decision earlier is because of fear that I would lose all my French. And more than likely, I will lose a decent amount of my French because a lot of the French that I know right now is not in my long-term memory. But that is okay. I'm kind of over that fear because I know that this has to be done. So I'm not sure when I'll get back to learning French. I'm definitely taking at least 1 full month off where I'm not doing anything in French at all. So no Duolingo lessons, no Busu lessons, not using Memrise, not listening to like any content in French. You know, maybe I might try to have like a short conversation with some of my French-speaking friends, but that's about it. I had to change up the view here because my arm was getting tired holding up my phone like this. But anyway, now when it comes to quitting Spanish, the last few videos, or the last video and live stream that I posted, I received a lot of good feedback, comments from other language learners about, this idea that I had, and then as well on Facebook. So I realized that there were some things that I was missing in my analysis when it came to the way that I was learning Spanish, the methods that I've been using. And I realized that I have been learning Spanish consistently, but not only that, very intensely for the past 4 years without any breaks at all. So although that I love learning Spanish, I love to study everything about the language. Even right now, my motivation for learning Spanish is still very high, but the intensity level has always been this issue that I've had. Or I guess I didn't notice that I had this issue. It was not necessarily an issue, but it just wasn't always the best way of learning Spanish that I could have been doing. And for me, it never came to my mind to decrease the intensity of the way that I have been learning Spanish. I never thought that, maybe I should decrease what I'm doing right now. For me, over the past 4 years, it feels like I've been increasing the intensity and learning a lot more about the Spanish language, and also just adding more and more language learning goals. So I think that has put a lot more stress on me, and also all these things that I've been doing to learn Spanish and to try to reach all these language learning goals have taken a lot of energy out of me. I find it very funny that I wasn't able to figure all this out on my own, but I needed you, the language learning community, to help me out with this decision. And not like the language learning community can't help me at all, but it's the fact that, I thought my language learning schedule, the ways that I was learning Spanish primarily, which was just like an immersive approach, was perfect. I thought everything I was doing was exactly what I needed to do to reach all of my language learning goals. And the issue with that was it wasn't the best mentality. It wasn't the best method. I mean, I have a YouTube channel called Spanish Blueprints, and I have videos sharing a lot of tips for how to learn Spanish effectively. So maybe that went a little bit to my head. But regardless of all that, I definitely am reducing how much that I'm learning Spanish and studying Spanish greatly, because it just takes a lot of energy out of me. I know my YouTube channel is one big reason why I haven't made the decision to take any breaks from learning Spanish or decrease the amount that I learn Spanish, because I have thought that, okay, if I were to do those things, then I would be a failure in the eyes of all you, of my audience. And again, that's not putting the blame on you. That's just my mentality. So kind of having that insecurity, that fear that I would lose the respect of other people because I'm not learning Spanish as intensely as I was. I'm taking a break now. Okay, well, Joshua's taking a break. That must mean that, he's really not that good at learning Spanish, or that he's just not, like the best language learner out there, and just ridiculous thoughts like that aren't really the reality. Also feeling guilty because I'm not thinking in Spanish every single day. I'm not working on developing my Dominican accent. I'm not watching a YouTube video or a Dominican YouTube video, or listen to a podcast from the Dominican Republic, things like that. So feeling guilty that I'm not constantly trying to reach my language goals. So I have the guilt aspect, have the fear aspect, have the insecurity of what others would think, instead of just focusing on really what do I truly want when it comes to my Spanish learning journey. If you want to know what all the language learning goals are that I'm trying to achieve right now, I will leave some links to some videos where I talk about them in the description box below. Now, as far as what does quitting Spanish look like to me, it means that I'm not going to be learning Spanish so intensely. And not only that, I'm not even trying to maintain my Spanish level at this point, because that was what I was really thinking about as well. So, you can dabble with learning Spanish, you can try to maintain your Spanish level, or you can be constantly trying to improve your Spanish level. And that is where I have been at for the past 4 years, trying to improve my pronunciation skills, my speaking skills, my conversational skills, my listening comprehension skills, my writing skills, and my reading skills. So I was trying to do a lot. But now I'm just trying to be very satisfied with the current Spanish level that I have, and be very satisfied with all the language skills that I have improved up to this point as well. I am not really thinking in Spanish anymore, or doing my best not to think in Spanish. So for example, right now, or just throughout the day, if I am by myself, not thinking in Spanish, but thinking in English as well, not speaking to myself. So this has been a little bit difficult to do, because again, I've been doing this for the past 4 years now, so I'm very accustomed to it. So sometimes over the past few days, I have, noticed that my brain will, slip into thinking in Spanish. Then I have to force myself to think in English. So those two things, so thinking in English, speaking to myself in English and not Spanish. And then same or similar thing with the Dominican accent. So I'm not trying to, use a Dominican accent when I'm speaking all the time, unless I'm speaking with Dominicans, where it feels a little bit more natural. A lot of times throughout the day, I would notice myself saying, I have to, or I need to listen to the song in Spanish. I need to watch this Dominican video, or this Dominican YouTuber. I need to speak to myself in Spanish. I need to think in Spanish before I have a conversation with the Spanish speaker. I need to have a conversation with this random Spanish speaker that I don't know on the street or wherever I'm at. So when I have those type of thoughts, now I'm making sure that I don't do those things, because again, that's just like extra pressure for me that I'm putting on myself, because I'm constantly, or have been constantly, trying to reach a lot of my goals. So now I won't be doing that as well, and I'm not really watching as many YouTube videos in Spanish either. So again, this is really about taking an actual break with Spanish, which I really haven't done at all. So no YouTube videos, not really watching any TV shows or movies in Spanish. Let's see. I'm still going to listen to Spanish music because I love to, but I'm going to do my best to not really analyze everything that I am hearing. And that's one big reason why I'm not trying to listen to content in Spanish like in my free time, because I've noticed, since I'm able to understand a lot that I hear in Spanish, my brain kind of changes from passive to active. It's like, oh, I can understand that, so what exactly are they trying to say? That happens a lot when I'm listening to a podcast in Spanish passively, or if I'm watching or listening to a YouTube video in Spanish passively. I kind of start I try to listen actively at some point. Now when it comes to learning and studying culture, because I do that a lot, I like to do a lot of research about the culture of Spanish speaking countries, and I ask people about culture. So if I'm having a conversation with a Spanish speaker and we're talking about it, I'm still going to be learning about Spanish, the Spanish language, about culture in that kind of setting. But in my spare time, I don't want to just be online watching YouTube videos or reading articles about culture, for 20 minutes or 30 minutes in Spanish and just trying to learn everything about culture, because that's kind of the trap that I have fallen into in the past. So trying to learn as much as possible, because I think that if I don't learn as much as possible about the culture of Spanish-speaking countries, that means I'm not very intelligent and I'm not very studious. But I don't want to have that attitude or that added pressure to myself that I think that I have to do all that just to prove to myself that I'm intelligent or that I'm an avid learner. That is not necessary at all. So I'm trying to change all these habits, as you can see. I touched on having conversations in Spanish a little bit already, but in addition, I'm not going to be forcing myself to have conversations in Spanish. So that's something that I have done for the past 4 years, over and over and over again. Wherever I have been out and about, if I'm at a store or if I'm, out dancing or something like that, or I'm just, around Spanish speakers, I would always force myself to have conversations with them. And now I'm not going to do that anymore, but I'm still going to speak Spanish. I'm still going to have conversations in Spanish, but it's going to be when I want to. So again, in the past, okay, I felt tired. I may have felt a little bit insecure, but I'm still going to force myself to have conversations in Spanish because I need to reach all of these language learning goals. So now I'm not going to do that. If I feel tired and I don't feel like speaking Spanish, even though I know that this person speaks Spanish, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to, speak English. So kind of, things like that. So just taking the pressure out of learning Spanish, taking the pressure out of communicating in Spanish in the pursuit of all these language learning goals. I started all these new habits and this break over the past week, and I already feel less pressure and I feel less overwhelmed. So I know this break is going to be really, really beneficial for me. By the way, this has nothing to do with my YouTube channel in the sense of, how much that I make videos and such. So this is not me saying that I'm not going to be making videos for my YouTube channel, or I won't be active on Instagram or Twitter or X and things like that. No, this is more just about one little aspect of my personal life. So the way that I learn Spanish and study Spanish and language learning as a whole. So yeah, don't mix those two together. This break from learning Spanish definitely gives me more time and energy to making more resources for all of you as well. For example, I have different resources like my 2 free PDFs, the Spanish Conversation Blueprint and the Spanish Vocabulary Blueprint, my Spanish Resource Kit, and my Spanish Vocabulary Accelerator Notion template, and I have some other resources that will be coming out in the future. But for those resources, you can find the links to those in the description box of this video. Now, I want to share with you some of the comments that I received that really helped me to make this decision. Now, this first comment is from Facebook. So this one says, "You probably will retain a lot. I am a skippy learner in general. I take gaps, breaks, and I think that allows me to know what's truly recalled. It's okay to take breaks or to adjust accordingly." So I really appreciated that comment, and I really appreciated that type of mentality, because again, I did not have that mentality of taking breaks because I was just too concerned with trying to reach my goals and not feeling like a failure. Now, another comment that I received was from my YouTube channel, from one of the videos that I just uploaded. And it says, sounds like you're trying to do too much. It takes time and effort to learn a new language. And with so much diversity in the Spanish language alone, synonyms, conjugations, different words in different countries and regions, oftentimes it can feel like learning 5 or 6 languages all in one. So you got to ask yourself, how often are you going to use any language that you embark on, and that will tell you if it's worth putting in the time and energy to learn it. So thank you very much to all of you language learners out there that have left me all these amazing comments and have given me a new way of looking at my Spanish learning journey and given me all these tips and advice for how I can change up the way that I have been learning Spanish, and to help me come to this conclusion that I've been talking about throughout this whole video. But let me know what you think of my new decision now in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for watching this video and for all of your support. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you share it with one of your language learning friends. Now, don't let this video discourage you from learning Spanish or any other language, because my situation and my goals are different from yours and any other language learners. Now watch this next video.